Okay, so Cheltenham's just around the corner. Thought I'd do a quick video update covering a few points, sort of why it's interesting, what to expect, and hopefully how you can get the most from it. Or, worst case, at least avoid making mistakes. So I haven't done a video for a little while, apologies for that, there'll be more shortly. But in Cheltenham, so why is Cheltenham more interesting than usual? Obviously Cheltenham is a premium event throughout the year on the racing calendar. You're going to see a lot more turnover within the markets, a lot more media coverage, and to be honest with you, that's probably the reason that there's so much betting volume at Cheltenham. That and the fact that, you know, there's a lot of prize money on offer and all that kind of stuff, and hype as well. But either way, for us as traders, Cheltenham's more important because, you know, more opportunity in the market in the form of having more money matched. So the more money that's matched, there's more opportunity to make a profit, and there's more opportunity to limit your downside and potential risk. So that's why Cheltenham appeals. Now that doesn't appeal to everyone because everyone's trading style is a little bit different as well. So some people like to make the most of those volatile markets that are a bit sporadic and go off everywhere and sort of nip it at the top and trade out for a profit. But for those that like to turn over money and match as much volume as possible, Cheltenham is, you know, it's the one. Because of all the different contributing factors to the markets over Cheltenham, you can expect characteristics to be very different. Now, in previous years, you'll see huge volumes of money either side of the book. That's going to be exactly the same this year. It's the same every year. And there's plenty of other traders trying to soak up, you know, that volume turning into markets because it's a great opportunity. So for smaller traders, if this is your first Cheltenham, you can expect there to be huge amounts of money. It's basically like betting markets on steroids. Yeah, you're not going to see as much movement and volatile behaviour within the price action. There will be prices that do shift, and that'll be quite prominent and very sort of final when they do move. But on the whole, prices are going to be more static and there's going to be more turnover. So the best angle to approach the markets is just to put some money on either side of the book and then manage your position accordingly. Particularly in the dying moments, you know, scalping is sort of like the main thing to be doing at Cheltenham basically. And obviously when you're scalping, the best time to be scalping is when there's the best turnover in the markets. Sort of scalping 30 minutes out is just sheer lunacy. That said, at Cheltenham you can get to the markets a lot earlier and there is more turnover earlier on because of all the hype and everything that's going on. So sort of 15 minutes before the start's not a bad time to be getting started on the Cheltenham races. On that as well, it's worth mentioning the shorter prices at Cheltenham, you'll see ridiculous amounts of money sat in the market, which can become very frustrating if you're sat there with small stakes because you might be sat there with like sort of like £20,000 on top of you. The market needs to move through to then match your stake, and if you're in there for just 100 and then, you know, you've got to then do the same on the other side, or even if you're doing it at the same time, it can take a long time to get filled. So you need to be patient at Cheltenham, particularly on the short prices. When they do move, you're a bit stuck, so you may trade out for a loss in those instances. So just be aware of that, particularly on shorter prices. So dealing with it, the best way to actually deal with Cheltenham is to be very defensive. And I know it sounds very boring, but at the end of the day, making money via trading, if it's not boring, you're not really doing it right. We're not here for a quick buck or a gamble and, you know, just to throw some money in and hope for the best. That's not how trading works. The best way to approach Cheltenham is to be extremely defensive, quite patient, sit outside the prices and let the opportunity come to you. Because when you do get filled and you know there's this high turnover within the markets, there's actually opportunity to increase your stakes and not have a lot more risk for it because there's all that extra money there to get out against, like I mentioned earlier on. So on top of that, actually, I should probably mention the shorter prices can be frustrating to get filled. It makes it a little bit easier to get filled. When I say filled, I mean bets matched either side of the book at larger prices over Cheltenham, because you'll see a lot more higher turnover on the larger prices than you would normally on your bread and butter sort of stuff throughout the week. But my top tip for Cheltenham really is just to be patient and let it come to you. You may want to increase your stakes. As the week goes on, historically, it's always been the same for me. and I'm sure it probably will be for many people this year. You start Cheltenham, you sort of get into the flow of things. By the time it gets to Thursday, you're sort of on the ball and you're making good money, and you're just thinking, why wouldn't I do this on Tuesday? You know, frustrating as it is, bear that in mind and go in with your eyes wide open and know what to expect from the Cheltenham markets, and sort of see how they behave from day one, and you manage to get the most of it throughout the entire week. Points to mention in terms of being careful, you know, potential danger points happens every single year. I always mention it, and I'm sure it will happen to people anyway, but hey, if it helps one person, it's worth it. The in-between races are going to be volatile as usual. They'll be like usual kind of behaviour, probably more volatile because of that attention is focused on Cheltenham. So you'll find the prices will be sporadic and bounce around and volatile and all that kind of stuff. So if you're trading those as well, remember to lower your stakes between Cheltenham and, say, if it's Lingfield or Southall or whatever's in between, because every single year you see it. Somebody's clearly been trading the Cheltenham market, they go straight into something like Southall, which is like just a rubbish race, and then you see them chasing over themselves in the market to get out of a bad position because they've overstaked. So bring your stakes in on the volatile ones, increase them on the Cheltenham ones where possible. Make sure you're very defensive throughout the markets, and above all else, be patient. Be as patient as possible, because it will come to you, and it might be a case of, you know, having to scratch a trade several times over, being at the bottom of a big queue, but all you can do is learn from it, and then, you know, you'll get it right on the other occasions, and then basically, you know, there's minimal losses there. That's the important thing. Keep it boring, keep minimal losses, and allow the potential profit come to you, because it will happen, especially on Friday when things get really hairy. Good luck.